going?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. You legend. Have you ever done any podcasts before?
Yeah, I've done like more radio stuff, which I feel like it's scarier because you can't like it's not edited.
Yeah.
So like you've got to be careful not to swear and things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what sort of radio
Uh,
stuff have you done?
I was working a little bit for like a government contract after the big Black Summer bushfires,
Okay.
doing business, like small business coaching for bushfire impacted businesses.
Right.
And yeah, we did a few radio interviews and things like that.
Yeah.
And then back in my modeling days, I did like some um, interviews and things on radio when, yeah, I was in competitions and things like that.
Amazing. Tell me
Yeah.
more.
So,
So first of all, like I want to go straight to the modeling situation, but tell me, so you do business coaching?
yeah. I did. I was sort of doing marketing consultancy as my own business, and then yeah, branched out into that side of things as well as like financial counselling
Yeah.
for yeah, with the bushfire infected businesses.
All right. You must be all over it
Yeah.
for the family business.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, good on you. And then tell me about the modeling.
That was, yeah, sort of, seems like a different stage of my life, but I, yeah, sort of from 18 onwards, I did sort of promotional modeling work and then print stuff for swimwear mostly,
Yeah, wow.
and a bit of competing. So yeah.
Mate, what's competing? What does that look like?
Oh gosh, it's horrible. So
I could
it's
imagine.
like
I
a
think
part
that
of my
would be
life.
my worst fear.
I think I blocked it out. No, so that was sort of, like Miss Indy and Ralph, like swimwear model of the year and
Wow.
things like that. Yeah.
I remember those. Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah.
Go
Oh, terrible.
you.
Yes, a very long time ago.
That's incredible. I mean, I'm sure you have to bring a lot of confidence to that, right?
Um, yeah, I think so. I feel like I don't know, you sort of get up there and you're in just a different zone,
Yeah.
like it's, yeah, you don't realize at the time that you're just in a bikini in front of a pub full of men screaming at you.
Putting on the
There's,
smile.
I know, there's probably some liquid courage in there too.
And how old were you, Jo?
I sort of from when I was about 18 to about, I think 23 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. It's like
yeah,
good
sure.
pay for that age though, right?
Yeah, definitely the promo side of like promotional side of
Mm.
things, definitely. And I was probably about 19 and I sort of thought, hang on a minute, I could be making more money out of this than I am. And I started booking girls onto jobs myself and sort of taking a cut and
Look at
running
you.
running competitions myself. Um, so I would go around to pubs and sort of sell them the competitions and then run them in their establishments. So
Amazing.
um, yeah, I sort of got into that side of it, I guess.
I'm so impressed.
I don't know if
I'm
it's
so impressed. Okay, so like I've done one bikini comp before, and I did like the smallest amount of promo work. Let's say like 6 months. I feel like it was that
Yep.
time, and like like the UDL girls and all that sort of stuff. And it's
Yes.
like, yeah, cool, I can do this. And then I did like motivations, like it was a race show, or you just walk around. I can't even remember what we were selling. And then we did a photo shoot for something, and I just crumbled. Like I could walk around and smile and like talk, but when it came
Yep.
to all lights on me, it was just like I can remember smiling and like my lips quivering, and I'm like, I cannot do this. um,
It's yeah,
so it,
it's hard. It definitely was a time though. I feel like there were, the Jim Beam girls. I had did a bit of that for a little while, and then the V8 supercars, they had the grid girls,
yeah.
and it definitely was a time where it was just such a huge thing.
When now it's just sort of like I'm like I don't know how I'd feel about my daughter doing that. Like,
No. See, yeah, I had a discussion with quite a few people when I think it was the F1 that stopped the grid girls first. Um, and I thought to myself, they're stopping it because women are having an issue with it.
hmm
But as a woman who chose to do that for, 5 years of my
yeah,
life, I never had an issue with it.
yeah,
Like
right,
it was my livelihood, it was my job. I built a great network of people. I was able to start my own business from it. Like it just to me, I never felt like I was, you know, being objectified or I was in some horrific work conditions
yeah,
or anything like that. It was actually paying my bills
yeah.
quite well.
And it sounds like you really made an opportunity of that and took it forward, like making a business out of it yourself.
Mm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think so. I think I needed to, I don't know, I've always been the kind of person where I do get a bit bored. I guess that's, ADHD in me. Um, but I'm always looking for something else, I
Yeah,
guess. And that's just where it started. And then I grew up in a family of business. My mum and dad always had their own businesses as well. So it's always just been a thing for me to, have a small business.
yeah, yeah. That was going to actually be my next question about where did you get this sort of like entrepreneurial mindset from? But so your parents. So what business did your parents have?
Um, so when I was really little, dad was in earth moving.
hmm
And then we moved a bit further north, and he kept the earth moving business, but then got into skip bins and demolition. So dad's always, yeah, had the business, and mum's always worked, in the office. And well, not even just in the office. At one point, my dad actually broke his hand and his thumb, I think, but both at the same time,
Wow.
and he couldn't drive the skip bin truck.
Yeah.
So my mum went and got her license and then never stopped doing the office side of things as well, but became this truck driver for dad's skip bin business to the point where dad then ended up going, oh, well, I'm not going to get anyone better than Sandra. So I'm just going to buy her a truck. So we went and bought her own truck.
It's funny the places you find yourself in when the need is there, right?
Oh, totally, totally. So she just embraced this becoming a skip bin truck driver and was out delivering skip bins to job sites, all over Newcastle and the Central Coast.
Amazing. Go
Um,
Sandra.
well, yeah, I know. So I guess that's where it sort of comes from.
Yeah. And I wonder how, like, so as a kid growing up, do you have siblings?
Yes, a little sister.
Yeah.
Yep.
So growing up with your parents running a business, how how do you think that, so obviously it inspired you and gave you some tools to go and do your own, but coming back, like, how did you see that as a kid? Did you see like the stress that the business had, or like the more availability, or like the flexible schedule that your parents had? What was your sort of take as a kid?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really, as a little kid, I don't really remember much of the dynamics there in terms of the business sense and mum and dad. Mum was sort of always around and yeah, I guess dad was always working out of the home and mum was sort of always working in the home, but there for school drop-offs and things like that. Um, but as a teenager, having mum being out driving trucks and things, I would just go in the truck with her or, so it's sort of, yeah, we've always been a part of the business in a way, I,
Yeah,
I would say. It's never been sort of completely separate to us. It was just, we went along for the ride where we could.
yeah, in the truck.
Mm. Yeah, in the truck.
Fun. I imagine my kids would love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was sort of a teenager. Like I was sort of a bit older by that point. I would have been, I think I was even finished school and I was, definitely in my late teens and would sort of go out and hang out with mum and we'd have to go and pick up a bin from this construction site and then take it to the tip and, like it was just, yeah, it was a bit of fun.
Just kind of what you did. And
Yeah.
so now you guys have your own business.
Yes.
Yes. So you and
Yes.
Brett. Yep.
Yes. And it's sort of taken me a while to say it's our own business, I think. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Can you
But
I
we do.
absolutely relate to that. Can you take me through the story of how you guys met? And let's go with that. How did you guys meet?
Yeah. We were both living in Sydney at the time and we met on Tinder.
Nice. Cool.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we met on Tinder. I think we went on a couple of dates and then we were just inseparable.
Oh,
Um, and then within sort of 6 months, I fell pregnant with Lola, our
yes.
daughter. Yeah.
Nice. And how old's Lola now?
She is 7.
She is 7. Awesome. Great
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yep. So after 6 months, so was Brett working then?
Yeah, so we were in the city, both of us. We were in Waterloo, and it was just him and a van at that point.
Yeah.
And he was, taking on a bit of his own work and subbing to a few mates that had electrical businesses and playing footy up there as well.
Yeah. And what were you doing
Yes.
before you had Lola?
I was working for an experiential marketing agency. Yeah, so we did sort of the promo work side of things, but not the type we were talking about before. More in the tech and sort of sales sort of space, and then putting on branded events for brands to, elevate their sponsorship at things like Vivid.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then things started. There would have been a busy time. You're a first time mum. And how did that sort of transition? How did transition to parenthood or motherhood go for you?
Yeah, look, it was a tough one because I sort of had the transition to motherhood as well as the transition from the city to Gundagai. So we went from, the big smoke, I guess, to a town of, 3,000 people,
Okay.
whilst I was pregnant with Lola. So we moved. Brett is from here. Um, and we decided whilst I was pregnant that we were going to move, and we did. And he bought his van, just him and his van again, to Gundagai,
Okay.
and we sort of that's where we started.
Nice. And so his family's there?
Yes, yeah, his family is here, which we've been so lucky to have them close by. But it was definitely a big, yeah, adjustment to parenthood and adjustment to moving to such a small country town
Yeah.
was a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. And so you had Lola in Gundagai?
Yes, we were living in Gundagai when I had Lola. The main hospital here to have, for maternity is about an hour away in
Mhm.
Wagga Wagga. So we were sort of, yeah, doing a lot of traveling over there during the pregnancy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was 20 weeks pregnant when we moved here.
Yeah, right. Okay, so halfway.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's such a
yeah,
common theme, people moving when they're pregnant. Like you think, what are we doing? But it's, you're starting your family, you're starting afresh. And
that's it.
was Lola a sleeper?
No, and she's still not. No, oh look, she was a really good baby. Like, I know that's not the best thing to say, but
Yeah.
she was quite a chilled baby, I would say.
Mhm.
Um, but no, never been a great sleeper. We sort of have always co-slept a little bit.
Yeah.
Even now, we still do. And we've just sort of started transitioning. At the moment, I am sleeping on a mattress probably why I have bags under my eyes. I am sleeping on a mattress on her floor
Yeah.
to try and get her used to sleeping in her own bed.
Yeah, we've been there, definitely. And now sometimes it's sort of like a Friday night, Saturday night treat where the kids get mattresses on our floor in our bed, like sorry, in our room.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah. So we can still be close, but also actually get some sleep without trying to share pillows.
Yes, I know that's the hardest, and it is. It's like you want to have this, you want sleep yourself, and sometimes it's easier to just say, you know what, I don't care, just get in the bed.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
and then Brett gets kicked out to the spare room because I'm like, there's too many people in here now.
It becomes like that. It's sort of like ideally, we sleep in our bed and you guys sleep in your bed. But when it comes to we just need sleep, or I don't care where we are,
Yeah.
I need sleep to function the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so you're in Gundagai, you've got a new baby, Brett's got one van. How do things go from there? Did you go back to work after some time off?
Yeah, I started, that's sort of when I started consulting, and I started working for a few different clients regionally, in the marketing space, which was really good for me because I could just do it whenever and wherever.
Yeah.
Um, and then sort of obviously hel- would help Brett where I could
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Um, and then so when did business start to grow? Because how many staff do you have now?
So there would be, so there's, yeah, three tradesmen, three apprentices, and Brett. So
Amazing.
yeah, seven. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Um,
Yeah.
and when did he bring on his first teammate?
We had an apprentice, probably a year after we got here, we put on an
Yeah.
apprentice. He was such a good kid. He'd been working with us through the school holidays, just like as a TA. And, he would literally, we were based out of our house, and he would come and just knock on the door every morning and, sit with Lola as a tiny little baby for 5 seconds and, entertain her while we ran around and got Brett ready and
Yes.
out the door. So he became almost like, part of our family as well. And yeah, was such a great kid. So it was probably only, yeah, maybe even 6 months after we got here.
Yeah, right. And how did it evolve from there?
I guess it just kept growing organically. We were really lucky that we've never really put a lot into until, now we haven't really put a lot into, marketing spend or advertising or anything like that. We were kind of super lucky to just have really good network of people here and really great word of mouth. And it just sort of, yeah, grew that way. Um, we have always had issues finding tradesmen. I think, I know there's issues everywhere, but being in such a small place, it sort of amplifies those issues a little bit as well.
Yeah.
We don't really have a pool to choose from. It's, it makes it a bit harder. So we are kind of at that point now where we are stalling because of that,
Hmm.
which is why I've come back into the business.
Yeah. Yeah. When you say come back, you were when you were saying you were in it for a little while with when Lola was little, and then you left.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think yes, yeah. Look, it's always been, I've always been sort of a look, I'll help you if you need me, but uh, eh, I kind of disconnected as well. And then when I have sort of said yes, okay, I will help you, it's been like a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of scenario. Like I've never been fully in. Um, I think for me, I always thought of it as Brett's business. It was always his thing, and I always had my own thing, like it, and that was just the way that I saw my career and my working life progressing. Um, you know, I'm not great, and I don't love the administrative side of the business. It's not where my skills really lie. Even though I can do it, it's not something that I love doing. So I sort of pushed it to the side and was like, I would rather you just, keep me out of it. Um, and yeah, so it's always been this just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If he needs something, I'll obviously help out. I've always been there as a sounding board, I guess, because I'm his wife and was his, partner. And
That's what we do.
um, yeah, and exactly right. Or we help when we need to help, but I never jumped fully into it. Um, yeah, until recently.
Recently. So what was the
Yeah.
change?
Oh, look, I think for me, it
Like,
was.
well,
Oh, look, I'm blaming it on. It's all on me here.
yeah,
This was completely a me thing and a mindset thing,
yeah,
and I will come out and say that straight away.
yeah.
I, as I said before, always thought of it as Brett's business. It wasn't, it was his thing. And I've always wanted to have my own thing. And I think that was just because, my relationship that I had previously previous to meeting Brett was quite traumatic. And I did sort of feel like I needed my own thing all the time to just be safe, and so that I had a bailout if I needed one. So yeah, the mindset for me just needed to change, and I obviously did a lot of work around that and realized, hold on a minute. And Brett said to me one day, it's not my business, it's our business. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get that. And then I sort of thought to myself, but I keep putting all of my energy and efforts into all these little things that I do, and um, outside of our business. And if I was putting all of that energy and effort into our business, imagine what it could do for our life. Um, and that was the turning point. And I think he didn't want to push me either, like he didn't want to say, please, can you do this or can you come on board? Or he didn't want to push me. He wanted to let me do my own thing if I wanted to. But I think he was pretty happy when I said, yes,
I've,
I want to do it now.
oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing that. Honestly, I relate so much to what you just said and having my own thing and being independent. Um, and like when Greg and I met, we were both really passionate individuals, sort of doing our own thing. I had a charity in India. I was nursing. I was, that was my focus. Whereas, Greg was building this electrical business and that was, yeah, his thing and my thing. And then when we had kids, I guess that was a big transition for us because that's sort of like, oh, we're a family now, like
Mm.
we're a unit and we actually have to try and move as one piece. But for so long, I was like, no, this is my piece. That's your
Yeah.
piece and this is my piece. And I guess being a mum and the demands of the business on Greg that, like he was working a lot and I was being like, I, need you with the kids so I can go do what I need to do. But then getting to the point where it's like, this just isn't working because we're just sort of trying to pull in two different directions.
Hmm.
And yeah, like you for a long time, I was like, I'll help you, soundboard everything. Like I could step into the business because I know what's happening, but I don't want to because that's not what I want to do. And I wasn't passionate about admin. I like you, wasn't
Yeah.
my skill set, not something I wanted to do. I don't even like organizing stuff. I like
No.
out of necessity I will, but I'd rather just like float along.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's really hard, isn't it, to sort of wrap your head around where you see yourself in the business when it's only still a small business as well. And you go, well, realistically, yes, I am just stepping in to do admin. And you go, oh, but I hate doing that, like, so it's a hard transition.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think, um, I don't know about you, but like your independence as well, like you mentioned, sort of like, okay, now, I mean, for me personally, I'm like, okay, now I'm working towards your dream.
Mm,
But I had to really reframe that, and like you mentioned,
yeah.
mindset. It's sort of like, but it's not like your dream. This is our life, and we're a family now, and we have to work together, and it's where
Yeah.
we want to go. And like Greg never pushed me to be like, come on board, because I think he sort of knew also I had to be ready to
Mm,
want to do it, right, without any sort of resentment.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I think you also have this almost like you go, well, if I have to step in and I have to do that, you know, the stuff that I don't really like doing, that's great. But my way of sort of getting out of that frame of mind was I thought, hold on, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do these things I don't like for that long. Because if I can step into the business and grow the business, then the first person that we hire, you know, will be an administrative team member, and then that's where all that working through and working through and putting everything into place and putting the processes into place is going to be helpful for that person. But I'll only have to do it for a little while until I can pass it on to them.
absolutely. And you're
Yeah.
right, putting those systems in place so your business is scalable, and you can just be like,
Mm.
delegate, delegate, delegate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you can concentrate on what you really want to do within the business. And, for me, that's, obviously, yeah, more the marketing and business development side of things and strategic side of things rather than just the day-to-day task-based
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That he it sounds like Brett's really lucky to have you. Really,
Well,
with all your experience, I mean, coming from that business coaching background, to have all that experience, and then to come in and set those systems up, because you do need to like work from the base level up, right? So you understand
mm,
the systems, the systems work, so then you can pass them on, so you can scale
yeah.
with some really strong foundations.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also for me, I said, one of the things of me coming on board in a more full-time capacity was, we're keeping the coaches. Like we cannot, like it doesn't matter what happens, like we are keeping the academy because we need someone to be our sounding board together, like if and we're very different people. Brett is thinking back to it early when we sort of started his business in Gundagai, and even financially we are so different. He's sort of this, squirrel all the money away and save it there for a rainy day, even with our personal finances. And I'm more of a, no, hold on, I could die tomorrow.
Yeah,
I just want to have fun.
yeah,
Um, so we're kind of on either side of the spectrum with a lot of things. And I think that for me was the way of going, no, hold on. If you're this side and I'm this side, then we need someone that can sort of help, bring us together to almost like a compromise
yeah.
in a lot of areas.
And find that happy medium, right? Of
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, like that. And when you sort of apply like a family systems theory, which is the stuff that I love, because the way I got into that was, it was just sort of like, how do we run a business and work together and come together as a family? So then I studied counseling and really got interested in couples counseling and just like what works. And it's really interesting you saying that, because usually in any sort of like system, to create a balance, if one person's one way, the other person will be the other way, because
Mm,
they need to sort of like pull on each side, so you can have a balance in the relationship. Or like if one person's feeling really spontaneous, the other person will be like super organized and really safety focused and be just like, hang on a minute, let's establish that. But you're right, to have someone in the middle, to be like, instead of you know turning into like a debate or a squabble, or no, let's go this way or let's go this way. It's sort of like,
mm,
let's have someone look at it from a bird's eye view and decide, how can we take your perspective and move forward. Because
Yeah.
that was my question. Like, you being a business coach, what made you think you needed business coaching?
Well, I think look, Brett's always had his own um like he's sort of been with the academy for a while now, and that was sort of I think again, that was a way to separate everything from our relationship
Yeah,
at home, like it was like, okay, well, that's your bit back in the day where it was his business, and it was like, that's your business, so you can go down that path and do as you please there, and he's done really, really well, um growing the business to where he has, and it has been great for him to have that support and the community that comes with that. um, and no one wants to hear your wife nagging at you every day about, not only the washing and the kids' uniforms and lunches and whatever else, but, yapping in his ear about how he should be growing his business. Whereas I think now we sort of, we see it really differently, and we sit down and we talk about things together, and because now I have had this mindset change, we are planning and strategizing a lot more together, um, because we can. It doesn't seem like it's a hard task anymore or a back and forth kind of scenario. We know what we want and we're just trying to work out how to get there.
amazing. That is ideal. You guys are doing an incredible job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey. Like I won't deny that. There were times there at the start where it was just I think it was only Brett and his apprentice, and we had a job that we'd done that was quite substantial, and they went into administration and couldn't pay their bill and things like that. So, there's been stresses along the way, but hopefully now we can work together properly,
Yeah,
and yeah, I think we're on the right path.
absolutely. It sounds like it.
Mm.
With what does a normal, so you decided to come together and work together, and you guys obviously, you're saying having those strategies and plans that you're both working towards the same goals, right? Which is amazing. Have
Mm.
that like shared vision. But like, what does your normal day look like? So I guess what I want to know is, what things do you put in place to work together and have the family life? So have you got two kids? One,
Yeah, two
two,
kids.
two
Yep,
kids. So
two.
doing the family thing, the parenting thing, the mum thing, and the dad thing, and then working. So what does your normal day look like?
Oh gosh, I don't think I have a normal day.
Good answer.
I honestly don't think that I have any day that looks exactly the same in terms of routine from one week to another. Like, I can't sit here and say, oh, on Wednesdays we do this and on Fridays we do, because it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
right? Like it doesn't. No matter how hard you try, I can sit there and plan my whole month out, and I guarantee you I'll get maybe 2 days into that and it won't happen. Um, I mean, I guess of a morning we're running around trying to get Lola to school, and Harry is still at home 2 to 3 days a week. He's only just turned 4, um, and so dropping him off to my mother-in-law's on the days that he's there, or like it's this whole juggle
Yeah.
between getting ready in the morning, and then I drop them off, and then I'm usually back in the office for a little while. Um, and then something will happen and I'll be doing something. Like I think we keep saying to Brett, and I said to each other the other day, Mondays are going to be our day where we are in the office together all day. And we're going to do our, TSA call of a morning, and then we're going to spend the rest of the day in the office working on things. I don't think we've had one yet, like it sort of just hasn't happened. Look, I don't know if it will ever be consistent routine just yet. The kids are still quite little. Only one of them's at school. We've got very limited sort of daycare options where we are, so I can't sort of book Harry in for 4 days a week.
Hmm.
And it just sort of becomes a bit, it's just a juggle, really. I think we've been really good at sort of just, you know, if Brett does school drop-offs, then I know that, he might work later in that day, if he has to, or, if he does pickups and he sort of start earlier. It's a bit of a juggle.
Yeah, for sure. And that's life, right? Things come up. It's, what they say, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. So
Yes,
you have it as structured as you can, and then it's all the dealing with all the things as they come.
it is. It definitely is. And I'm the kind of person as well. Again, like having ADHD, I can't fit into this box of I work between the hours of nine. I sit at my computer between the hours of 9 to 3 and I work, because some days that just doesn't work for me. And I've struggled with that my whole life, just staying on task and staying focused. For me, I'm probably more of a, my creativity and um, want to work is probably more of a late afternoon, nighttime kind of scenario. So yeah, it does. It helps to be in your own business and have the flexibility to be able to do that though too.
Yeah, and it sounds like with that creativity, you'd be awesome at problem solvings and that strategy and being an epic soundboard for things and how to move forward from things.
Yeah, look, I would hope so, but it also brings with it a lot of overthinking and, you know, that fear of reject uh, rejection. Like I know, if anyone sort of looked into ADHD or has kids with ADHD, the that rejection sensitivity is huge. So it's really hard to sort of, yeah, put yourself out there, um, and solve those problems when it's just like this mind ticking,
Mhm.
ticking, ticking in the back of your head. So again, like I think that's why we have been working so well together, because that's me, and then Brett is like very chilled, um, very just, nothing would worry. Nothing, not, I don't think there's been anything really that's worried him to the point where it's,
Yeah, yeah.
really bad. Whereas I'm the opposite. So it helps to sort of have, again, we're both on that separate side of the spectrum, and he sort of brings me down a little bit to where I should be sitting
Mhm.
in terms of how much I am thinking about something.
Yeah, it sounds like
Mm.
you're grounding.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, awesome. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your ADHD like experience and maybe diagnosis? It's such a, a big topic at the moment.
Mm.
Yeah, interested to hear if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, I have always sort of jumped around a lot in my life, from place to place, job to job, you know, from a job to having a business, from a job to having a business. Like it's sort of just always been, I've always been searching for something.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't really like school. I was very bored. I did well at school in terms of my grades, but I was bored,
Yeah.
and I get like that. I've been like that throughout my life, with relationships, with work, with everything. Um, and I did sort of look into it when I was, you know, in my mid 20s and or early 20s living in Sydney, and kind of thought, you know what, like I don't care if I am, um, because I'm fine. Like I'm single and my life was what it was, and I was working and I was like, I'm good. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, sure, it makes me a bit anxious, and I overthink things and I jump around a lot, but jumping around a lot has meant that I have built up this amazing network of people in my life, from all different types of businesses and backgrounds. So I was like, you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get on with my life.
Awesome.
And then we had Lola, and a few years ago she started sort of showing some signs of anxiety and a few other little things that were sort of happening. And I said, oh gosh, like she was me as a kid. And I thought, oh, I wonder if, you know, this is what it is. And when we sort of started exploring it for her, and I sort of started, you know, reacting as well, I guess, to how she was behaving. If she would melt down, I would melt down. Or, you know, I was working in a job that just wasn't right for me at all. And I went into complete burnout mode, you know, like I didn't leave my bed for a week. I was just done mentally. I was really out of it.
Yeah.
And that's when I sort of started exploring my own diagnosis alongside hers.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, so now we both we both have a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and look, I mean, to me, I kind of always knew in the back of my mind anyway. Um, to have a formal diagnosis, and it's only sort of been within the last year, it's been okay for me to be able to confirm it to myself. Um, it's made me sort of feel, okay, great, you know, it wasn't just in my head, or there are certain things that I found challenging in my life that are because of having, you know, ADD. Um, and then there's this whole process that you kind of go through that's, you know, almost like a grief and a sadness and an anger that things could have been so different in my life had I have known about this and had treatment for it as a child or as a teenager. Um, but then you sort of accept it as well, and then you just kind of got to work out what works for you in terms of management.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of where I am at now, where I'm just like, you know what, I accept it. And if it means that I have to get the bulk of my work done at, you know, between 7 and 10 o'clock at night, then that's just me and we can do that. We can make that work.
Yeah. That's like, thank you for sharing. I
No,
feel
that's
like
okay.
it's, for some people, it's still a really sensitive topic, right? And
Hmm.
to go down the route of diagnosis for anything, um, it takes a lot of courage, and I think it's really admirable that you've done it with your daughter as well. Like
Yeah.
to have like in my nursing experience for someone to have a diagnosis and sort of I guess like a label, um, like some grief can go with that as well.
Mm.
And so to sort of go through the journey with your daughter of sort of understanding what this is and you be able to reflect, because it sounds like you're very insightful, on how you're feeling, I think would make that journey so much softer for Lola as well.
Yeah, look, I really hope so. I mean, hers is very, very fresh. She only had her assessment, so we went and did like a full day assessment about 3 weeks ago. Um, because we've been waiting such a long time. You know, I think we waited 12 to 18 months just for a pediatrician appointment.
Wow.
Um, the, yeah, I ended up getting a call from one in Sydney that we'd been waiting for, like an actual clinic, and um, you know, Sydney's sort of 4.5 hours from us. A couple of weeks ago, they called and said, we've had a cancellation, you know, can you be here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? And I was like, yep, we will be there. And, you know, Lola and I just got in the car and I booked a hotel room and we got there about, you know, I think it was 11:30 at night. And we got there and we stayed and we got it done because I was like, we've been waiting so long, and I we were at that point where we just needed that extra help and support for her.
Yeah.
Um, and I knew that we did, and I just took it. I just jumped on it and was like, all right, we're going, packed our bags and we went. So yeah, look, hers is definitely fresh, and it's going to come with a lot of learning for both of us, or for the whole family, I guess. So it's definitely, yeah, look, I think it's just one of those things where you realize that you just put your kids first and you advocate for them. And, you know, if you think something is not how it should be, like, you know, we've been to other doctors with her where I walked out and was just furious because I thought, no, they're not listening to me. They're not. getting what I am saying, and I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing because I knew that there was something there that we needed support with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
And like that was the word that I was thinking as well, advocate. Like for you to
yeah.
say, you know, that when you had your diagnosis to go through the grief of if things could have been different and, you know, maybe things that you'd sort of like encountered or experienced that, you know, maybe wasn't as pleasant as it could have been, you know, for others,
Mm,
for you to be able to, you know, get that help for Lola at that age is a huge advocate and making sure, you know, she has a different experience to you. That's, yeah,
oh, definitely.
that's,
Yeah. And I think, it's really hard because um, it just, especially in girls or females, when I was growing up and, talking to my mum about it, it just wasn't a thing. Like
yeah.
it was the only people that had ADD or, ADHD. I know with girls it's mostly inattentive. Um, it's not the physical hyperactiveness in a lot of girls. Um, and so we flew under the radar, but the boys who were jumping around and being disruptive in class were the ones that got picked up. So, and I think that's obviously why so many women are now starting to be diagnosed
Mm-hmm.
because we now realize that it's different.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, look, no, I guess, um, no hate to my parents, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't a thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think like, you know, you'd probably know that world a lot better than me, but it sounds like, you know, it's becoming more of a thing, but it's still so new and there's lots of
Mm.
unknowns and people are still trying to work it out as well, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we will be for a long time. And anyone who's had a diagnosis knows that they're going to be working with themselves for a long time. Especially from the point of, for me, I guess it was a contributing factor in a lot of things that were quite traumatic for me. So I've got to now sort of work on healing from all of that too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, it becomes a bit of a two-pronged approach to therapy and getting help because you've got to sort of go down a few different paths to find what you need to find.
Yeah. And it can be exhausting,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But
definitely.
heal.
Yes, yes. It feels good, as I said, to have something there to say, yes, this is what it is.
Hmm.
Um, just so that, you know, I, I don't know. It's just something to have in the back of your mind, I guess.
100%, absolutely. And when you know how, you know, your what you do well and you know your skills that you have and you can apply them there and hopefully get someone to do their admin soon.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's the thing. We just need to look. I think tradesmen are definitely the first point. The first, box that we have to tick at the moment. So
Yeah.
if anyone listening wants a tree change,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it's so common. Like we went to a symposium, the Trade Expo. Greg was the MC over the Sympro roadshow, and all the people that we were talking to, they're all saying the same thing. Like, where are the tradesmen? Where are the tradesmen?
Mhm.
And especially when you're in a small town, it's just, and even I'm starting to think, where are the tradesmen? Like
Yeah.
are people not doing their apprenticeships? Like, where are these guys? Like, we're having a housing crisis. You know, in Australia, we need
Yeah.
homes. We need, but who knows? Who knows?
It's
But what I do want to know is, what are you guys currently working on? Is there anything in
oh
business or even at home? So you're looking for another tradie, but like even at home, are you guys hoping for a holiday soon? Is there any special events coming up?
oh gosh, we actually have a very busy end to the year.
Yeah.
We are flying out to Fiji on Sunday for a week. I'm very excited.
Amazing!
Yes.
Amazing!
Oh, I'm so excited.
Where
We've
is?
never really spent time away.
Yeah,
I think when Brett did Kokoda, that was sort of the first time he'd been away for the business for any big chunk of time.
yeah.
So this is our first sort of family trip. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, so that's very
And
exciting.
so that's on
And then
Sunday.
Yes, on Sunday we fly out for a week for 7 nights.
Oh my gosh, where are you guys
Oh,
staying?
we're staying at the Sofitel
Yes. Yeah,
in Denner. Is it Dennerau? Is that how you
yes.
pronounce it?
We
Yeah.
we actually stayed there this school holiday.
Ah, oh, cool.
Incredible. You had the most amazing time. The kids club was incredible. Like it was like, oh, let's spend some time together as a family. And the kids are like, see ya, we're going to kids club. I was like, oh.
Oh,
And then Greg like, this is quite nice actually.
yeah. Oh well, honestly, I'm so we're going with quite a big group of people for one of Brett's mates' 50th birthdays.
Yeah.
And it's a group of people that are all from Sydney, or that he's been mates with that are from Sydney. So we haven't seen any of them really in quite a while. So it would be really good.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. And then I guess from a business perspective, um, I've actually started redoing our website. Um, and we're looking at some, marketing activity that we can be or start to do because, as I
Mhm.
said, we've never really had to do any.
Yeah.
So that's exciting for me because it's something I love to do.
Creative. Yeah, great.
Yes,
And what
yeah,
platform are you
yeah.
doing your website on?
We're on WordPress. We've always had a, I've, I did Brett's website when he first sort of started
Yeah,
up.
sure.
And it's sort of evolved from there. So it just needs a few tweaks. It's very outdated, in terms of, the staff photos and things that are on there.
Mhm.
So I'm going to sort of, yeah, do that, create some landing pages and start running some Facebook ads and things like that. Get our Google AdWords started again. Yeah, a few things in that space. So that's also exciting. But Brett keeps telling me, unless we find a tradesman, you're gonna have to slow down. You're getting a bit excited. So we'll cross that bridge when we
Yeah.
come to it, or I'll just have to, get him out working a bit harder.
Yeah, maybe you'll find someone in Fiji who would like a tree change.
Oh, that's my whole thing. I'm like, surely, like we moved here for a tree change, and I keep thinking we were looking at apartments in Sydney that were, ridiculous in terms of price, and we bought. This is back before, I guess, the boom, which obviously has put things up a bit, but nowhere near Sydney. But we bought our 5 acre block of land here for $80,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
What that is
So,
like, did you buy it in the 1920s? Like,
yeah.
wow, that is
Yeah. So I
incredible.
mean, there are positives to a trend, and like land is still like reasonably
Yeah.
cheap down here. So there are positives. I think you know, it's just one of those things. Well, I'm sure we will come across somebody when we are meant to.
Yes.
Um, and I hope that we do for Brett's sake,
Yeah.
because otherwise he's going to be spending a lot of time on the tools.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll keep working, and then we're coming up there or up to Byron Bay
Yes.
to the TSA office in
Amazing.
about a month's
I
time.
can't wait. When
Yeah.
I heard that, I was like, yes. That's
Yeah, so that'll be so good. We're doing a strategy day with the team up there, so that's going to be amazing.
awesome. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
and kids coming, kids staying.
No, kids are we're going to drop the kids at my mum and dad's
Yep.
on the way up. Mum and dad are just sort of on the Central Coast, and then we'll go up to Newcastle and fly out of there. So yeah,
Oh,
2 nights the kids can stay with my mum and dad, and
wonderful.
we'll,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
pop up
can't
there to
wait.
Byron. I'm so
I'm
excited.
gonna find out your dates and block them off on my calendar.
Yes, we'll have to go and yes, have a dinner and a
Yes,
cocktail or something.
I'll take you to a few places.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, just before
Yeah.
we finish off, what would what tips would you give, say, even yourself, um, in working into the business? I guess the question I usually ask is like, what tips do you have working together? But it sounds like you guys work really, really well together. So what would you have maybe said to yourself previously to convince yourself to come on board and work within the business, become not just Brett's business but your business as well?
Look, I definitely think, yeah, work on your mindset 100%. If you are still seeing it as your partner's business or your husband's business, then you've got to see that as a joint asset first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then I think work towards creating yourself a role within the business that you want. Um, if you don't want to be doing the admin type stuff, then do it until, as we said before, you can grow the business to a point where that then becomes something that you hire for. Or if you love the admin stuff, which good on you, and you will be the best asset ever to your business if you love admin. But if you love that, great. Then if that's your thing, that's your thing. But definitely find your thing within the business, and work towards creating a role that fits within what you want to do. And just because it may not have been a career path that you saw yourself heading down, it can still be a career path that you can create a fulfilling, lifestyle, career, um, and progression from, I think, as well.
Yeah. That's amazing. That is incredible. I cannot wait to meet you in the flesh. I can't wait for you to come up to the office. Thank you so much. I've really, really, really loved talking to you, and thank you so much for sharing everything and being so honest about your path. I definitely can relate, and I'm sure so many people can, to this. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in a month.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you, Frankie. I can't wait to meet you in the flesh too.